Maple Leafs open their training camp Thursday. Leaf players quick to point out the increased intensity with new head coach Craig Berube.
I remember last year's first day tough. Today was in my top 2, and it probably wasn't 2. So after you saw that practice, it's going to be, a very direct, gritty team this year.
Just learning that you're going to be uncomfortable a lot of times in games, and you got to work and compete under those circumstances. So, I was very happy with the first day overall. Guys really worked.
The tone right there from day one, and this is a team that wants to come out of the gates and show that they have a whole new compete level, and it's not going to be easy to come in this rink and play right from the first game.
As promised, William Nylander slotted in at center between Max Domi and Calle Jarnkrok.
I'm excited. I think that I told Chiefs that, the most important thing is I can't just play one game if you want to try center. So, and we agree on that and give it a go, and hopefully it goes well.
Why do you think the experiment didn't last very long at last camp? It seemed like you were...
What, did I play one game?
Two.
Yeah, I don't know. I have to ask my old coach about that.
It's time for Hey, I'm Talking Here with Frankie Corrado.
It's a segment everyone in the sports media world is talking about. Hey, I'm Talking Here with Frankie Corrado, and we're going to start with the Maple Leafs. We're going to start with Craig Berube. And you can see already, Frankie, the impact of this coaching change. All the players are talking about it. Much different atmosphere than the previous opening day at camp. How much of an impact do you think Craig Berube's style will have on this team?
It has to, Jay. This is the #1 priority here as far as what his messaging is that this team is going to be a north-south team. They want to play a little heavier. There's going to be a grit component. And listen, if we're sitting in a room with a bunch of hockey guys, let's say there's players, coaches, general managers, scouts, just hockey guys, we could all agree, there's all these things that are really important that make a team good. It just depends what you are going to prioritize. Some people will have disagreements as far as what's more important. The stuff that Craig Berube is choosing to prioritize probably hasn't been the #1 priority for this team in the past. So it's going to be different for guys. It might be a little bit uncomfortable at times, but if everyone buys into the message and what he wants this identity of this team to be, chances are they could get a different result. So he's going to try and put his stake in the ground and solidify what this team looks like. And he's doing that early on, and he's making it crystal clear what the expectations are.
Frankie, as far as the Vancouver Canucks are concerned, the main concern is the health of goaltender Thatcher Demko. He was on the ice Thursday in Penticton, BC, but he's not participating in Vancouver's training camp. He battles back from injury now. Demko dealing with a rare muscle injury, which he suffered in the Canucks' first playoff game last season. He's talked to specialists around the world, but hasn't found a single other hockey player who's dealt with this injury. And while he's confident he'll be able to play again, there's no timetable for his return.
Definitely been a little bit frustrating at times. I think, when I first injured myself in the playoffs it's such a rare case. Such a unique injury that we didn't really have a lot of, readily available research or case studies or really any information to have a concrete timeline. Especially the last couple of weeks on the ice, I've been feeling a lot better, and there's definitely some light at the end of the tunnel for me now, and full confidence that I'll be back out there.
All right, so it's a unique situation in Vancouver. You've got this Vezina caliber goaltender who's struggled to stay healthy at the best of times. Now he's got an injury that seems to be a bit of a mystery to everyone involved. If you're a Canucks fan, Frankie, are you pushing the panic button a little bit at this point?
You have to be. After hearing that, I don't want to start the panic, but I don't know how, if you're a Canucks fan, you hear your star goaltender who, a lot of the success of this team is going to hinge on, talk about how he has an injury that they haven't seen yet before in the game of hockey. The thing about all these injuries that we all have, you can name them: high ankle sprain, broken tibia, ACL, the most gruesome of hockey injuries. All these people have seen them before. They know the roadmap from the time the player gets hurt to the time the player returns from injury and how to recondition it. when something pops up that we haven't really seen before and you don't have that roadmap, now all of a sudden there's a lot of uncertainty as far as when that player is going to be coming back and how long that player can stay back and stay healthy. So I think there's a lot of uncertainty, a lot of unknowns, and that would be a little more panic-inducing, hearing what Thatcher Demko had to say today about his injury.
Yep, I have to agree with you. A little bit frightening. And now, as far as the Oilers are concerned, it's already been an eventful start to training camp for Zach Hyman. He and his wife welcomed their third child on Wednesday, and he was still on time for Thursday's morning skate, if only by a few minutes. Connor McDavid had a little fun with his line mates in between drills.
There was ever a day to be just on time for practice, would it be the day after having a baby, or is that like
just on time? It was 9:30 practice. I was at 9:27, and we were just about to start. So
you were good then.
Apparently I wasn't good, but no, it was funny. The guys were giving me a little grief. I was like, we said 9:30. It was 9:27. It was good. So I like to take my time.
What time's the 12 o'clock bus leave, though?
Well, literally, it's 12:05 usually. So, yeah. You know, I'm not really for those. But no, it's all good.
Oh, man. A lot of laughs with the media in Edmonton. They're having some fun. This team was so close to winning the Cup last season. Obviously, they're pretty loose right now. Frankie, would you say that's a good sign as we head into this season?
Yeah, I would, and I'd say it's a better sign than probably what Zach Hyman was feeling after having to sleep a night on those hospital chairs. As you know, Jay, those are not very pleasant on your back. So yes. I'm happy he was able to make it to camp. It does sound different than last year, though. Like last year, when they were at this point going into training camp, there was a lot of pressure on this team. It was cup or bust time. And then, you know, they get off to a 2-9-1 start, and there was a lot of ominous undertones with that team. The coach gets fired, and they really turn it around. They get to within one win of the Stanley Cup, and it feels like now that they've seen the journey, it feels like that's alleviated some of the pressure off of these guys. Like knowing exactly what it takes to get there, the fear of the unknown is probably not with this team anymore, so everyone can relax, play, and have a little confidence that they can get back there because they've seen it and they know they can do it.
Frankie, let's head down Highway 2 to Calgary and talk a little bit about Nazem Kadri. It was the first day of Flames training camp, and Kadri was Calgary's top scorer last season with 29 goals and 75 points. A lot of people thought he'd be traded this offseason. He was asked about his future in Cowtown.
You answered pretty emphatically in April that you wanted to be a Flame and stay in Calgary. Obviously, those questions are going to get asked, but what makes you want to be here?
I love the city. Love the organization. I mean, you know, I feel like it's super early to be asking these kind of questions, so I'm going to ask you guys to just pump the brakes a little bit. You know, let us go play, and you know, we're going to try to rally around each other and you know, surprise some people. I believe in our team. I believe in myself, and I believe in, you know, everybody that's kind of steering the ship here. So, you know, it's an exciting time, I think, to be a Calgary Flame. Obviously, you know, there's going to be some nights where, you know, we got to reset, but there also is going to be some great nights, and, you know, we're looking forward to the grind and the challenge.
Well, that Thatcher Demko clip that we heard might have frightened some Canucks fans. I feel like that Nazem Kadri clip we just heard is the kind of thing that Flames fans have been hoping to hear all summer. You know, a veteran player, Frankie, who seems like he might actually want to stick around for the rebuild. But are you buying it? Do you think this is the right place for Kadri to be right now?
I'm definitely buying it, Jay. Like, Nazem Kadri is not one of those guys that has one foot out the door and is looking for the easy way out. Like, follow his whole career. When he was a Toronto Maple Leaf, he wanted to be nothing other than a Toronto Maple Leaf and took a lot of pride in that. When he moved on to Colorado, he took a lot of pride in being a Colorado Avalanche, won a Stanley Cup with a very gritty playoff performance. Now that he's a Calgary Flame, I have no doubt that he's very passionate about the team, about the city, and doesn't want to look to to go anywhere else. He wants to make it work where he is. He's a passionate player. He's a loyal player. I absolutely buy everything that he says there. He's very genuine when he uses his words about his love for the city, his love for the team, and of course, wanting to be a Calgary Flame.
Yeah, I love to hear that from Nazem Kadri. Great way to finish this one up. This has been a blast. Thanks for doing it, buddy. We'll talk to you next week, okay? And don't forget, Craig Berube and the Toronto Maple Leafs will be in Ottawa to take on their provincial rivals, Travis Green's Ottawa Senators, that is. Second game of the preseason. Viewers in the Toronto Maple Leafs region can see the action on TSN 4, The Quattro, at 7 o'clock Eastern.